Heyo, and what's up, gang? Thank you once again for joining us right here on the channel today for another edition of Breaking News. And we have some very, very great news. I'm very happy to report today we have two huge names looking to return to the WWE roster very soon. The fight between Vince Russo and Jim Cornette continues and has taken a very strange turn. We're going to talk about that. We also have an absolutely historic day in pro wrestling history to talk about. All that and so much more right here, right now, on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Let's do it, baby. Do it.
Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. All right. What is up, everybody? Thank you all once again for joining us. This is the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show right here on Sledgehammer TV, only available on YouTube.com, and we got some fantastic news today. I am your host, Nick Nightmare. Let's get right to... Oh, actually, you know what? Before we get started, let me just take a minute to tell you guys, if you are in and around the New York City area next weekend, House of Glory presents Never Trust a Snake live from the Elks Lodge right here in Queens, New York. I will be attending. I will be right in the front row, baby, this time. Please, feel free. Tickets are still available. Go check it out. HOGWrestling.net. You can get your tickets there. Join me. Come on down. Check it out. Like I said, I'll be there. I'll be easy to find in the bright white t-shirt with the Sledgehammer logo on it. Right in the front row, baby. So come on down. Come on. Check me out. Come give me a shout out. I'll be more than happy to take a picture with anybody. We'll get some footage. Maybe we'll do something for the channel. Who knows? Come on down. Let me know you're there. I will definitely be there. And the reason why I also bring that up is because you will have the chance, as I am going to get to meet the legendary Jake the Snake Roberts, man. I can't wait to meet him. It's always been a dream of mine to actually meet the guy. I know he's past his prime. I don't care. I love these guys. They've been a part of my life, part of my childhood, and I can't wait to be there and meet him. You should be there too. I hope to see you guys down there. Don't forget to check it out. It's going to be fantastic. Why is that even relevant, you may ask? Well, because of today in pro wrestling history. So 21 years ago today, an absolutely historic day in pro wrestling history, the WWF presented the 1996 King of the Ring from the Mecca Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 8,762 members of the WWE Universe were in attendance that night. Quick shout out to my buddy Falcon from out there in Milwaukee. I don't know if he was at that show. He might have been a wee little guy like me at the time, but he may have been there. Who knows? Shout out to you, Rusty. Hope you're doing well, my man. Love you. Miss you, guy. Miss watching his show. He was fucking great. So, this night at the King of the Ring finals would feature the aforementioned Jake the Snake Roberts going one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And as everybody knows by now, Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Jake the Snake Roberts to win the King of the Ring tournament, and his victory speech that night would be a thing of legend and would absolutely cement him as a top star in the WWE, also triggering the beginning and that first little spark that really started off the Attitude Era that would eventually allow the WWE to tip the scales and win the wars against WCW. All of that came from this moment. Talk about your Psalms, talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whooped your ass. That one moment in pro wrestling history sparked a t-shirt. It sparked a revolution in the industry. It was an absolutely unbridled turning point in the entire history of the sport that we all know and love so well that we call pro wrestling. Another thing, though, that makes this particular King of the Ring event very, very historic is that this King of the Ring in 1996 was supposedly slated to be won by one Hunter Hearst Helmsley. And as we all know by now, due to the curtain call event that happened in Madison Square Garden with a leaving Kevin Nash and Scott Hall celebrating at the end of the night in the middle of the steel cage with Triple H and Shawn and X-Pac, embracing each other in the ring, breaking kayfabe, pissing everybody off in the back, leaving Hunter Hearst Helmsley as the only man to be punished for the incident. I was there, by the way, that night, live in the crowd. It was a fucking great moment. I'll never forget it. Brings goosebumps to my arms just thinking about it. And it left Triple H holding the ball. And one of the punishments that he had to endure was him being removed from winning the King of the Ring. And instead of him being the King of the Ring, we had him go one-on-one in a dark match. It wasn't even part of the show. It was a dark match. Versus the Portuguese Man of War, Aldo Montoya. The Portuguese Man of War. Let's talk about that for one little second, sidebar. We've had a lot of animals in the WWE, in wrestling as a whole. We've had dragons, we've had snakes, we've had bulldogs, we've had all kinds of animals. We've had roosters, as ridiculous as it was. We've had it all. But jellyfish? Really? You guys know that, right? A Portuguese Man of War is actually a jellyfish. Look it up. So, this kid, just incredible, comes to the WWE. He's going to finally get his big break. He's going to have his dream to wrestle for Vince in the WWF. And they put him in this goofy getup, and they call him a jellyfish. Without calling him a jellyfish, they used the scientific name, the Portuguese Man of War. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Eventually, Just Incredible would move on to ECW, reinvent himself, and reignite his career, and actually get to live his dream in a much better light than under the sea as a fucking jellyfish. Get out of here. Are you kidding me? Sidebar ended. Moving on. Another thing about the 1996 King of the Ring that is of note is the Ultimate Warrior defeated the King Jerry Lawler. That's what that was supposed to sound like. And the only reason this even matters is that this would be the Ultimate Warrior's final WWF pay-per-view appearance until WrestleMania 30, as he was fired before the next month's In Your House pay-per-view for allegedly missing house show dates. We're going to keep things rolling on this King of the Ring track because 15 years ago today, the WWE presented the 2002 King of the Ring from the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio, where 14,200 members of the universe were in attendance. And this is of note for a couple of reasons as well. This would be the last time the tournament would be held as a traditional pay-per-view ever. I mean, that's it. And it should be reinstated, and it should come back to be an every year thing right now. It's sorely missed. It's a very, very loved event by the WWE Universe. It has meaning. The winner's supposed to get a title shot at SummerSlam. It's great. You don't have to go all out anymore with the cape and the crown and the scepter and the whole nine. Just have the King of the Ring. The winner gets the title shot. You call him the King of the Ring. You don't have to act like a king unless he wants to and he can get it over like King Booker. But other than that, this year would be the year that the Beast Incarnate, our current Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, would take the King of the Ring for his own and go on to main event SummerSlam that year in a title match against The Rock. And it was absolutely fucking fantastic. One other small note from this pay-per-view is that Kurt Angle, the current Raw GM, defeated Hulk Hogan by submission. Why did we even matter? Why does this have any relevance? Well, because this is the first time ever Hulk Hogan would lose by submission in a WWF ring. And that, everybody, was very, very historic and extremely relevant today in pro wrestling history. Okay, everybody, now that we got that handled, I love doing that. I love pro wrestling history. I love bringing that to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Let me know in the comments below if you're digging this, man, or else I'll freaking stop doing it. But if you like it as much as I like bringing it to you, I will continue to do so. Well, screw it. If you don't like it, too bad. It's my show, right? I should be able to do what I want. Anyway, let's get to the news. And today's news is happy news. At least the first story, anyway, is extremely gratifying to me because ProWrestlingSheet.com and Ryan Satin, the beast of the news industry in wrestling, have reported some very, very big news yesterday. Just when we thought Mauro Ranallo was out, he gets pulled back in as the announcer says he is not sitting out his WWE contract after all. He's just switching brands. Ranallo revealed on Thursday that he'll soon join the NXT announce team and explained that the WWE and I mutually agreed to end my responsibilities on SmackDown, having nothing to do with rumors about disputes. As I remained under contract with the WWE, we discussed a variety of options. This is now the second time Mauro Ranallo has shot down rumors that he intended to leave the company due to bullying at the hands of JBL. Mauro adds, despite originally agreeing to part ways, there was always a desire to continue working together. We have come to terms on a new agreement that benefits both WWE and me, and I am thrilled to announce that I will be part of the NXT broadcasting team, and according to the Fight Network, he will be replacing Tom Phillips. I am fine with that. I don't care that he's taking over Mr. Facefuck's seat on NXT. I think you could leave Tom Phillips on SmackDown, and that's just fine. I never really had a problem with Tom Phillips. I kind of was actually high on him until that whole text thing happened, and he wanted to fuck the broad's face and all this other shit. Like, when things like that happen, it just makes you view them in a different light. It doesn't make me hate him. You know, I'm not hating on him. It's just, I don't really care anymore. Whereas before this happened, I was a little more invested, and I wanted to see him succeed. I don't really care about his fate one way or the other anymore. It's just whatever happens will happen. I thought he would be able to rival and maybe take over Michael Cole's spot one day. I think he's already a much better play-by-play guy than Cole is, but it doesn't matter. Tom Phillips will go back to SmackDown, or he'll stay right there on SmackDown, and the news is that Mauro Ranallo will be joining Nigel McGuinness and Percy What's-His-Name on the announce team. I don't really care about Percy What's-His-Name, but having Mauro back is going to be fantastic for the NXT brand. The marks and the guys like me in this YouTube industry here, we love Mauro, as was made apparent by when he was first released, or whatever the hell happened between him and SmackDown, where everybody led the charge against JBL and let's fire JBL and all this shit that we all did, and it makes you kind of feel like a fool. You know, when you look back and you see how worked up you got, and now they're turning around and saying that it wasn't that, and he's back with the company in such an ease of transition type of way, and it just makes me feel like it just proves that everything is true. Everything that happened between JBL and Mauro is true, because think about it. If he was coming back, and that was actually not the issue, why wouldn't he be brought back to SmackDown and allow Tom Phillips to stay in NXT and get him off the SmackDown announce desk and go back to the way it was before this whole nonsense happened? That's what would have happened if none of this was a real issue. But there has to be some sort of a personal issue that has happened with him and JBL, or else why wouldn't he go back to SmackDown? Everything here is being painted over with the bullshit brush. I don't care. The bottom line is Mauro Ranallo is coming back, and I cannot be happier. Hopefully, in this new deal that they worked out, they use him in a much bigger role and utilize him for, say, the women's tournament coming up, the Mae Young Classic, and have him side by side with JR. I would love to hear them call the women's action. And then you throw a female next to them, maybe a Renee Young or Lita or a Trish Stratus, just to throw a female perspective in between these two absolutely dynamic professional broadcasters. It would be the best announce team we've ever had, most likely. And I hope that they take advantage of a situation and present us with something like that. Even maybe throw him back on 205. You can't do that because 205 Live is paired with SmackDown, and then he'd be back by JBL, so you can't put him back with the Cruiserweights. Although his voice was fantastic for the Cruiserweight division, and you can't help but notice that the division suffered greatly from losing Mauro Ranallo as being the voice of the brand. It just doesn't come off the same. It doesn't have the same feel or the same excitement, the same, veracity that used to come off the announce booth, because Mauro goes all in. And he loves what he does. And it comes out in what he does. And I hope one day to be as good at what I do as Mauro is at everything that he does, because he's just an absolutely fantastic talent, and he deserves to be showcased in anything he wants to do, because he's that good. He's JR level good. And he deserves to be respected in that note. I'm glad to see him coming back to NXT. It's going to make NXT even better than it's been lately. And it's been going back to the way it was. It feels like it's on a rise again down in NXT. And adding Mauro to that is going to be fucking great. Congratulations, Mauro. I am happy that you have pulled yourself out of whatever depths you had to descend to finally get to a happy place. And I know you've been doing some great stuff, with the Fight Network and calling Showtime Boxing and all this other shit, and I'm just happy to see him happy again and to have him back in the WWE family. Absolutely fucking great. Another big returning name coming, supposedly, to the SmackDown Live brand again. Now, I'm not going to get too excited about this because we've heard this before. We've seen this before. And I'm going to believe it when I see it. As Shelton Benjamin is once again in talks with the WWE to return to the company, only this time he isn't unknowingly injured while doing so. For those who do not recall, Shelton Benjamin was advertised to return to SmackDown Live following the WWE draft last year. But a shoulder injury derailed those plans, and his deal fell through at the 11th hour. However, as was previously reported, Shelton was officially cleared for action back in March. And the next month he let out a tweet saying that he wanted to clear things up, as he is not signed to a WWE contract, and he was never signed due to the injury. While that could change, as of April 16th, 2017, I am a free agent. And sources are telling us that the Shelton Benjamin deal is not quite done yet, but things are headed in the right direction, so he'll more than likely appear on SmackDown Live once it's finalized and the creative plans are in place. Now, like I said, let's not get too hyped about this. When the guy shows up on the show, I'll be ecstatic, because the addition of a talent like Shelton Benjamin is going to add leaps and bounds to SmackDown, making it a much better show. No matter what way they use him, and you want to talk about creative plans, I would tell you exactly what I would do with Shelton Benjamin. And I would elevate him because he is a veteran, he has been around, he's been in the WWE before, and he's been a former champion many times. So use him in an elder statesman capacity. Yes, absolutely, you can have him come in and he will give us 5-star matches against guys like Ziggler, or for the U.S. title against Kevin Owens, or against Sami Zayn, against AJ Styles. Styles versus Benjamin would be money. Benjamin versus anybody on the SmackDown roster would be money. But here's where I think you use him. Like I said, you have him take that mentor type role and you do something with the floundering American Alpha. I originally pitched this idea months ago when there were rumors about Kurt Angle coming back into the fold. Obviously, we cannot do that because they put Kurt Angle on Raw, and he is the general manager over there. If he went to SmackDown, you should definitely be doing this idea that I have for Shelton Benjamin. It was my original idea for Kurt Angle, but now since he's over there, we'll move it to Shelton. You have him take American Alpha, and you establish this collegiate-style amateur wrestling faction that is second to none. You know, they're the gold standard of professional wrestling. And you could add maybe maybe an upcoming guy from NXT. Maybe you just bring somebody in you don't know. Maybe you sign somebody from another company that has a great amateur background, and you bring them into the fold, or maybe even you bring in a girl that has some type of amateur wrestling background, and let her join the fold and have this Team Benjamin like you would have had at Team Angle, and you allow that to grow, because American Alpha needs to do something. You're losing it with them. These guys came out red hot. You gave them the championships finally, and then you decided, no, we're not going to go with that. You give it back to the Usos, who are doing great. Have no problem with the Usos being the champs, but you're not doing anything with American Alpha. Obviously, the New Day's back, so that's going to be the main feud. What do you do with American Alpha? You put them with Shelton Benjamin. You don't have to turn him heel. You can keep them good, and you have another group of guys, another group of 3 guys who are about having fun and kicking ass. Maybe can rival the New Day in popularity even. And you could have some great stuff between the 2 3-man teams. It just writes itself. It would make no sense not to do that. But they're not that creative, and they're not going to do that. They're probably not going to want to piggyback superstars off of one another when factions are the way to go, man. That's how you get people over. That's how you establish things. Look at how it's working, at how it has worked, rather, with the Wyatt family. Everybody is invested in one or more of the members of the former Wyatt family. Whether you're a Bray Wyatt guy or a Braun Strowman guy, or you're really high on Luke Harper, or even if you're one of the people, rarely, but there are people who exist that like Eric Rowan. Why not? I don't see any down in the guy. He definitely has a lot of upside. But that's how you get people over. Look at what happened with the Shield. You brought in these 3 guys, and now you have 3 stars. Because they came from something that was all familiar, that everybody enjoyed. A group of guys that were kicking ass. And then when you dissolve that group, you are going to get at least 1 big star out of it. Or in like the New Day's case, you could take 3 guys that are already somewhat relevant stars and become bigger. And now when they break the New Day up, these guys individually are going to be even bigger than they ever were. Because that's the power of a team. That's the power of a faction. And that's where they should start with Shelton Benjamin. Give him some young talent to groom. Let him be a leader. And have them win gold. Let Shelton Benjamin be the United States champion. Have American Alpha win the titles back. And have them be a dominant force on SmackDown. All these guys, Sami Zayn versus Shelton Benjamin for the United States Championship. You can have Breezango going one-on-one against the American Alpha. Maybe you do turn American Alpha and they don't talk much anymore and they just let Shelton do all the talking and he's the boss and they just do what the boss says because they were here to wrestle and put on a good show and nobody cared about that. So now they just want to make money and be the best and because we are the best and Shelton knows it and he's going to bring us all the success that we've been looking for. That's what you do with Shelton Benjamin. That's the creative plans they should have in place. And that's what I want to see happen. Is it going to happen? Probably fucking not. But I was right about everything that went down with Carmella and Ellsworth, and I was just fishing on that one. That was just an idea that came to me as I was sitting here spewing my bullshit to you guys. And it came true. I wish to God it didn't. You want to hear more about that, you can go listen to me rant on it in the last video. Check out all the other stuff on the channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you like what's going on and you see how awesome it is to be a fan of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show because we don't pull punches here and we let things go and we tell you people what you need to know. And I know that rhymed and that doesn't happen all the time. But we're going to try to be as entertaining as possible to keep you guys tuned in to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. And that is the 2 big returns that we got coming to the WWE, and that was pretty much our top story, because the last thing we're going to talk about today, and I don't even want to be honest with you, but it's really the only other thing of relevance going on right now that I seen as I was looking through news today. And Vince Russo and Jim Cornette have been doing this ongoing YouTube video feud or online Twitter feud. I don't even know where this feud exists in reality because the only place I ever really see it is in the dirt sheets and on the news boards. And this particular story and the turn that it has taken today just makes me want this whole fucking thing to go away. I don't want to hear any more about Jim Cornette and fucking Vince Russo Because essentially all this is doing is keeping Vince Russo's name in the news, which is making people believe that he's a relevant person or that he's somebody at all in the world of pro wrestling, and this man has nothing to do with anything as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what he's doing, where he's employed, what he's trying to do with his future, and I wish him the best. I don't wish bad on anybody, but I don't want to hear any more about this bullshit fight that's never going to happen between Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. And this is why. Once again, coming to us from ProWrestlingSheet.com. Looks like the fight between Vince Russo and Jim Cornette won't be happening. There's a fucking surprise, as if anybody really believed it was going to happen. Because Russo has responded in their bitter battle by slapping his arch nemesis. Arch nemesis? Really? Come on, you guys. By slapping his arch nemesis with a restraining order. Cornette tweeted a photo of the court document, which was filed on Friday, and it shows that Vince claims Jim has been stalking him. Stalking him. His caption said, "Golly! Golly! Voldemort just filed an emergency protective order on me. I can't hang out with him anymore." As we previously reported, Jim Cornette recently challenged his former co-worker to a brawl on his podcast, with such stipulations as no guns, no knives, no cameras, no publicity. According to PW Insider, Russo is claiming Jim Cornette has been stalking him across state lines since 1999. This guy is a jackass. He listed the June 15th episode of Cornette's show as an incident of stalking and harassment due to Jim promising that he had a gift for Vince Russo. PWI also reports Cornette was served at his home in Kentucky and is ordered to stay away from Russo and his wife, as well as their home and Vince Russo's place of employment, wherever that may be. And that's the last I even want to talk about this. Are you kidding me? It's as if Vince Russo is sitting in a hole, terrified that Jim Cornette's going to come out of nowhere and bitch slap him with a tennis racket. Or shove the tennis racket up his ass. Or, I don't know. Is he serious? Is he fucking serious? Does he really think that Jim Cornette is going to waste the time in his life to stalk and follow and look to truly hurt Vince Russo without him looking? He openly came out and challenged you. You refused the challenge, so what do you think he's going to do? You think he's going to waste his life and waste his precious time coming to you? He wants nothing to do with you. This is a joke. And this whole story now is just become even more pathetic than it already was. And I want that to be the end of it. Hopefully, we don't hear any more shit about Vince fucking Russo. And that, you guys, was today's breaking news. And I forgot to pull that screen up at the beginning, and that's fine because I pulled it up now. Full disclosure, I've recorded this show twice already, and my computer crashed the first time. The second time I fucked up really big right in the middle. And this time, we fucking nailed it. Nailed it. Rock and roll, baby. That's going to do it for today's episode of Breaking News right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Only on Sledgehammer TV right here on YouTube.com. Don't forget to check out some of the audio podcasts that we have up on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and Podbean. If you feel like donating $1 to anything, how about to me and to the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show? Check us out at Patreon. You can just support the show that way if you like. Don't forget to come check out House of Glory if you can. It will be well worth your time. It's going to be an absolutely great show. I guarantee you are going to have a great night. Support independent wrestling, because that's where the future truly begins. I am Nick Nightmare. This is Blue the Snowball Microphone. And we are out of here. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. Bye.